Good morning. My name is Maureen Higdon, and it is my pleasure to welcome you all to MVUUC on behalf of the Board of Trustees, of which I am Secretary. Our announcements today include Google Drive training for team leaders and task force leaders. And Ann will be leading that, and you will be in the Founders Room, am I right? So after service, Google Drive training in the Founders Room. I believe, oh good, just on cue, I'm going to announce the community team meeting. And I think you all are going to be on the patio because the Founders Room has it for the Google Drive training has the Founders Room. And what else is up here? Board of Trustees on Tuesday at 10:30. Fundraising meeting on the 16th at 4. And gathering around grief. I think that should be 9/17 at 7. So welcome everybody. Thank you, Lily. And ladies, who goes first?
Is anybody going to do one of the
what?
things for the, fundraiser? No, nobody? Okay, we're good at that. But we're going to sing first. There's a congregational song, and it is number 1051, We Are. So that's what's in our order of service. So let us, Jaryus, probably you have the words, and if not, it's in your blue hymnal. So let's arise. Join in the spirit. That's hard to follow in the book. And here I'm ringing the chimes. I'm ringing Maggie's chimes to set us into our worship mode. And then it's the choir. That's such a beautiful song. Thanks for changing it to that. That's what we sang for Terry's memorial. Her daughter was the soloist, so it's beautiful. So we light our chalice now, and we'll do the lighting, and with these words. This light we kindle is set in the lamp of our history. We inherit this free faith from the brave and gentle, the fierce and outspoken hearts and minds that have come before us. Let us be worthy inheritors of this faith, and through our good works, pass it boldly on to a new generation. Is it coming on? Turn the little flame. Yeah, it's one of those. Thank you. And then let's rise and embody your spirit, and let's say our covenant of faith, and then we'll sing Spirit of Life. We affirm that love is the greatest purpose of this congregation. The search for truth is our constant star, and service is our prayer. We pledge our hearts, minds, and hands to challenge injustice with courage, to make choices for a healthier planet, and to live out our Unitarian Universalist values every day as beloved community. Thus do we covenant with each other and with all that is sacred in life. Tidwell for a story for all ages.
Good morning, everybody. Today's story is called Sustaining the Tree of Life by Lynn Gardner. The tree stood in the middle of the village. Its trunk was so large that it took 6 people holding hands to reach around it. The roots were strong and wide, and its branches spread out over the village square, offering shelter from the rain or shade from the summer sun. Its fruit was juicy, sweet, and plentiful. The people of the village loved the tree. Children played beneath it and climbed in its lowest branches. The young people knew that if you whispered your dreams to the tree, they were more than likely to come true. People who proclaimed their love or friendship for one another beneath its branches found their relationships to be nourished, and elders discovered that their sweetest memories could be counted on when they were near the great tree. The tree had been witness to so much, and when the breezes blew through the leaves, one could hear echoes of generations, laughter, conversations, dreams, prayers, and songs. Animals loved the tree too. Rabbits lived in burrows under the roots, squirrels and monkeys lived in the branches, and bats and birds flew in to eat the abundant fruit. The tree seemed to buzz with life. One day, a traveling merchant arrived in the village. He rested in the shade and ate 2 pieces of delicious fruit. "This fruit is delicious," he said. "I would like to have some to sell in the next village that I visit. Who owns this tree?" "No one owns this tree," replied a villager. "If anything, we belong to it." "Well then, if no one owns the tree, then no one will mind if I pick the fruit," said the merchant, and he began to fill a basket. "I mind," said the villager, "and today I am the keeper of the tree." "What do you mean, keeper of the tree?" "We each take turns being here with the tree. We could never own it. We are here as protectors, as sustainers." "That's ridiculous. This tree doesn't need you. You could just take what you need, take what you want, and the tree will continue." But the villager couldn't be persuaded. "Sir, this tree isn't like that. We don't come here to take from it, even though we do receive much. We are keepers of the tree because this is where we are nourished. This is where some of our most precious memories are and where our people have dreamed. This is where we remember who we want to become." "Well," said the merchant, "you may think this tree is very special, but it still doesn't need you to sit with it. That is preposterous." "Ah," replied the villager, "the tree itself may not need me, but what of others who come by? Just this morning I sat with a woman whose heart was heavy with worry, and had I not been here, she would have had to carry that weight alone. And this afternoon, a tired couple came by, and they rested with me. They said they had been looking for a place like this. And then another came by, and we watched the birds in the branches together. And now you are here. You were confused about what this tree is and how to be with it. Imagine if you had arrived and not found anyone here to talk with. You might have continued thinking that everything you do is all about you. Luckily for you, my friend, I'm here to let you know that when you care for the tree of life, it becomes about so much more than just you." And the merchant sat for a while in the shade, thinking about these ideas that felt new and a little challenging. And as the sun went down, he picked up his bag and headed out of town, whistling a song that he hadn't thought of in years. On his way, he shared a smile with each person he met, his heart feeling strangely light and joyful. And the people in the village, they continued to sustain the tree of life, to care for one another, and to share their gifts with grace and gratitude. And may it be so for each of us. And now if the children can come forward, you guys can sing us to our classroom. So Riley and Brooklyn, do you want to come up into the chalice?
Hey, this is a time in our service for our offertory, and your generous contributions support this congregation, and we share with an organization every month. Half of our non-designated donations go to the organization that Ann will be speaking about, and we also support our local food pantries. I forgot to bring up the wagon, so if you have something, you may just place it up on our altar, or if it's big, down below. So here's Ann to talk about who we're supporting.
I'm just going to remind you of who we're supporting because you got a longer introduction last week. But it's Housing Claremont, which is now a regional chapter of Abundant Housing Los Angeles, so it now has a double long name. It's also Inland Abundant Housing. But Laura Mulroy and I are both on the board. Both of us replaced Reverend Maggie when she resigned from the board. So part of our job is to be the members of the board who are connecting to congregations like our own who are working on affordable housing on their congregational land. So that's who we're contributing to now. They're also involved in, Inland Abundant Housing is involved in a lot of broader projects. For example, they're working on a safe parking situation for people that are homeless, and they're working with the UCC Church in Claremont to establish that. So that's just another example.
So you can come forward with your offerings while we listen to the beautiful offertory. Whoa, okay. If you were not awake, you are now. That was spectacular. It's time for our sharing of our joys and sorrows, and there's none in the basket, so I know a few. Jaryus, are there any online? None online. But we know we're not all in a great place, and I'm sure we're all having some happy things happening too. I do want to say that we had news that Bruce Mount is doing much better, and I believe he's gone home. That was a scare this week. He went to the hospital with some pretty serious looking symptoms, and is doing much better. So also Laura's dad is doing better. So that's good news too. These are really people we don't get to see around here very often anymore, but they're very, very much congregants we hold in our hearts. So those are two joys, but we still hold them in our hearts as they, continue on their journey. Also, Reverend Maggie asked me to draw your attention to this little altar here that's from Terry's memorial yesterday, and that plant we're going to plant in our garden. It's planted in soil that was composted from Terry's body. So that's an interesting new way to deal with that, and we're really honored. So there's also some thing of water and some little hearts if you want to, place some wishes or intentions for Terry into that if you weren't able to be here yesterday. And I think that's all I'm supposed to mention. So I know we hold many concerns in our own hearts that we don't speak, and I know that the things that have happened this week have been trying in our hearts. So what a time we live in. These are the words. I am doing this service for Laura, who did my service for me, and she's gone off with Sean to Sean's 50th reunion. And so I'm really honored to do this and to bring the service she created to life for you. So her words for our joys and sorrows are, ours is a welcoming community where we find connection, a spiritual community where we find meaning. Ours is a sharing community where our joys are amplified, a caring community where our sorrows are lessened. We take this moment to reflect on our joys and sorrows and to acknowledge the mutual support of our community. May we remember those we have spoken about and named, and those we hold in silence in our hearts. So let's just take a moment of silence together. Okay. Thank you. Our reading today is from the book Getting Serious About Unitarian Universalism by Scott W. Alexander. Unitarian Universalism does not give you freedom from religion, it gives you freedom for religion. Here is the great paradox of our faith. Being a UU does not give you freedom to believe anything you want. It gives you, rather, a freedom to search for and find those beliefs from which your heart and soul cannot escape. Being UU means searching for your own defining religious principles and then allowing yourself to be captured by them. Actively practicing our free religion has an inescapable quality about it. The only choice involved is whether or not to take your emerging personal truths and principles seriously. Freedom, like the air we breathe, said philosopher Santayana, is necessary for existence, but insufficient for nourishment. The UU minister, Jim Brewer, further reminds us, freedom demands responsibility to others and life. It is not enough to be merely disciples of freedom. We must also be disciples of intelligence, sensitivity, understanding, and love. It is not enough to be free from intolerable constraints, but to be free for what is good and true and beautiful. May we realize that freedom is not an end of our religion, but in reality, it is only the beginning. Being a UU is about much more than the opinions and beliefs you hold. It is about the way you live every day. Our tradition has always affirmed that true religion is about deeds, not creeds. UUs are fond of saying, "Don't tell me what you believe, show me how you live." As one minister pointedly put it in his sermon title, if being Unitarian Universalist were against the law, would there be enough evidence to convict you? Yeah. Taking your Unitarian Universalism seriously means that your beliefs, principles, and values should be visibly present in your life. People around you should be able to see your religion in all the big and little ways, in what you say and do in relationships, in how you make your decisions and solve your problems, in the institutions and causes to which you give time and money, in how you care for and serve other living things, most especially other people. And as the author's colleague Robert Swain says, faith is not enough, nor belief. Living what you believe is the principle of honesty put into practice. Unitarian Universalists over the centuries, thus, have been active out of all proportions to their numbers in seeking justice, struggling against oppression, and making this a better world to live in. Such a religion as ours very much gets in the way. It is not convenient to live by one's most dearly held principles. There are many costs and sacrifices that are required. True religion limits, tests, and challenges the individual. It is often anything but fun. For in this broken world of ours, it is hard to serve justice, difficult to work for peace and equality, and demanding to live compassionately. The history, spirit, and principles of our UU faith clearly call upon us to grow bigger, more inclusive hearts. Being a UU means daily lending yourself and your soul to the building of a gentler, more humane world, most often not in grand and glorious heroic feats like those accomplished by great human saints, but in little, everyday ways that have the power to transform our world, one caring, responsible deed at a time. And I call on Ann now.
So it was interesting listening to that being read aloud. And I noticed that it's really focusing on what we're called to do as you use as individuals. And what I'm going to talk about today, focuses on the question of what we're called to do as a congregation. So I want to open with the centering thought that's in your order of service that comes from Maya Angelou, which says, if you're going to live, leave behind a legacy, make an impact on the world that can never be erased. So, in what I'm going to reflect on today, I want us to think about our legacy as a congregation. Who are we and what do we want to leave behind? And how can we make an impact that perhaps can never be erased? One of the ways that we leave a legacy is by memorializing things. To memorialize means to preserve, honor, or commemorate a memory, typically a person, an event, or a significant moment, in a lasting way. It's about creating something enduring that helps ensure that the subject won't be forgotten and that future generations can learn from or be inspired by what's being remembered. There are many different ways to memorialize things, including through ritual and ceremony. When we ring our bell on most Sundays, for those who come before us, we're memorializing them. But the most common way of memorializing things, the way we probably think of first, is through physical monuments and spaces. Statues, memorial walls, plaques, buildings on college campuses dedicated to their donors, museums or libraries named after someone, cemeteries and grave markers also obviously serve this purpose. So, with the help of Catherine and Laura, I'm going to take you on a little tour of the memorializing that we have done here at MVUUC. So, we've named the newer classroom building, the one closest to Monte Vista, Livingston Hall, in honor of Reverend Ellen and her husband Nick, who was the main architect and oversaw the construction. This is why I wasn't telling Reverend Ellen what the sermon was, or the reflection was about today. Okay. We placed a plaque on top of the wall near the bird bath, dedicating what was once a rose garden to Ellen.
It's hiding under bushes right now.
Yeah, that's why she's pulling them back.
I gotta trim them.
And we planted an oak tree in the small garden next to the shed in honor of Reverend Maggie's installation. And you notice those two benches there. There's plaques on those benches honoring Amy Randall's long service as our DLRE. Next slide, good, thanks, Jaryus. Her service as our DLRE and her husband Alan's service as her assistant. And then we memorialized the names of past congregants who donated money for a fundraiser on these bricks on the old fountain and the patio. So all those bricks at the bottom have names on them. And there's a plaque on the wall down by the playground near Robert's office that recognizes the Amons who provided money for refurbishing the playground. And right here in this building, we have a sign above the window where the coffee's served, dedicating the kitchen to Joe Emmert, who did a lot of cooking apparently for the congregation, and my informants told me, was part of a group from our congregation that served meals at interfaith and other outside events. Then, in the course of getting these slides at the last minute this morning before church, we found 3 mystery plaques. The one on the right is not so much of a mystery. We know that Wilcox, for whom this fellowship hall is named, was a founding member, but neither Reverend Ellen nor Laura nor Catherine know anything more. And somebody else may, and we can talk about that later. And then we have Walton Cole, and we have Dr. Bernard Harvey. Okay. What I want to point out is that except for Joe, all these memorials honor ministers, staff, and congregants who made major contributions of time and effort to developing and maintaining our congregation. In choosing to honor them, we're holding them up as examples to remind ourselves and those who come after us of their commitment. And by doing this, we actually do remember we have those plaques out there. But I want to ask, what was their commitment? Was it simply a matter of commitment to the congregation as a congregation? Or was their commitment to a community centered in the values that we profess to stand for as UUs? Those of us who know, some of those who are still with us being honored, know that they were all deeply committed to embodying our UU values and saw maintaining our congregation as a means of doing that. This is a really important task, and I know we've had lots of people invested in that task as our finances have been so tight. But when we think about our legacy, I want to ask, is this enough? Is it enough to believe in our values and enact them as best we can within our congregation? I think our covenant actually asks us to do more. Each week we say we pledge our hearts, minds, and hands to challenge injustice with courage, to find hope in times of fear, and to live out our UU values every day as a beloved community. So as I read that, when we covenant to do this, we aren't just pledging to live our UU values in our congregation or as individual UUs, we're pledging to live out our UU values every day as a beloved community. So my question is, what does it mean to do that? And what legacy might we leave behind as a beloved community that can't be erased, at least in the near future? So, as a member of the Affordable Housing Task Force, I want to pick up on Laura Mulroy's suggestion that we think about affordable housing as a tangible manifestation of our values, and the housing itself as a memorial and a legacy. In terms of our values, what would that mean? So to get at that, I've drawn from a new shared values pamphlet created by the UUA. It gives a one-sentence elaboration of each of our values. Next slide, Jaryus. Yeah. As I worked with the values, I rearranged their order because it struck me that they really fell into 2 clusters. So this first cluster of 3 values, I think, reflects presuppositions, convictions that we hold. So the first one, in this order I've put them in, is interdependence. And you'll notice there's red in here. Red is, I put the red in. So we honor the interdependent web of all existence and acknowledge our place in it, situated as we are in the Pomona Valley. Pluralism. We, who's the we? Both those of us who can afford housing and those who cannot are all sacred beings diverse in culture, experience, and theology. Equity. We declare that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to dignity, love, compassion, and housing they can afford. So then, on the next slide, all these values have to do with actions, with a goal, a means to the goal, and the net effect of reaching for that goal. So, justice. We work beyond our walls to create diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all feel welcome and can thrive. Generosity. Developing affordable housing allows us to cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope and offer something to the community around us. Transformation. A living tradition adapts to a changing world and supports individuals in their growth and deepening of their understanding. Working to develop affordable housing on our land will transform us, as well as offer the possibility of transformation to others. Next slide. Overall, with love at the center, we share a commitment to expanding our sense of how to love more deeply at all levels, how to love ourselves, one another, our community, and the interdependent web of life of which we are a part. If we choose, and obviously this has got to be a choice of our whole congregation, but if we choose to memorialize our values in this way, we wouldn't have to hide the values that motivate us. We could put a plaque on this building with, say, the UU flower in it and an explanation of why we wanted to do this that highlights the values that we were trying to enact in building it. So, in wrapping this up, I just want to explain why, well, what inspired this approach to the talk. When we, as an affordable housing task force, went through the Congregational Land Committee's introductory process, that was back in May. We had 4 different sessions with them, or 5, I think. We did so with a half a dozen Christian congregations. And the Congregational Land Committee themselves are motivated by their Christian faith. So we got a lot of kind of Christian theology about why we should do affordable housing. And they stress the importance for each of us making sure that our congregations thought about affordable housing in the context of thinking about their congregation's mission and what God was calling them to do. Now, that is not UU language, and we were very aware of that. So we were talking to each other about how do we translate this into UU language. And that's what I've been trying to do today. What I've been trying to convey today is that we can think about our mission in terms of our covenant and our values. And we can translate what God is calling us to do in terms of the opportunities and resources that we have in front of us as a congregation. And so I'm suggesting that if we put love at the center, we can ask ourselves, what opportunities and resources do we have for expanding our ability to love more deeply on all levels? We are all very aware that we do not have any extra money right now, but we do have unused land. And for those of us on the task force, the availability of our land, coupled with supportive consultants that are asking for no out-of-pocket contributions, This is looking like an opportunity to enact our values in the world and embody our legacy in a form that, at least for a long time, for the life of the building, could not be erased. Thank you. Oh, we don't know what we're doing next.
Because we're doing Laura.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you're going to say that. Let me see, it starts with. So we're going to do our closing song. And then
Oh, okay.
so say that.
Oh, okay. We're doing our closing song now.
So we can stand and we can, we're going to be singing 1017, Building in a Way, one of our favorite songs. At least it's mine. I can't speak for everybody. So let's do that, and then you're going to be doing.
Okay. Okay. All right. Our closing words are, to paraphrase the 19th century Unitarian minister, the Reverend Theodore Parker, although the arc of the moral universe is a long one, and although we cannot experience its full curve, we can still deeply believe that it bends towards justice, and that we can have a part in bending it that way. Together, we are striving to bend the arc, to build beloved community, to build a world rooted in love and justice, with accountability and sustainability at its core. This is an important commitment that will take all of us. Oops, there's more. This is a task that will take generations, in fact. We build on the legacy of those who have come before us, and we do our part during our lifetimes. And we will pass on what we have done to those who come after, creating foundations upon which they can build. We may experience some of the results of our efforts, but their effects spread in ways we may never fully know.
And so together we'll say our extinguishing words. And then, yeah. So as we close our time together and extinguish our chalice flame, may we know that we are stronger together than any of us are alone. Together we can sustainably build toward beloved community. May our lives serve as a light in this world we care so much about.